Hello guys and greetings to everyone. We will continue from where we ended last time on multiplication and division of integers. We are going to start by correcting the following exercises for application. Solution. It says evaluate the following. For question A, we have positive 14 times negative 3. You know this will simply be equal to, if we make use of the sign rule, when we multiply a positive number by a negative number, the resulting sign will be negative. So here we have a negative. Now if we take 14 times 3, this will give us 3 times 4 gives us 12. We write down 2, we carry 1. 3 times 1 gives us 3 plus 1 we carry gives us 4. So this will give us negative 42. So this is our answer. Next, if we go to B, for B we have positive 26 divided by negative 2. This will simply be equal to, we know if we divide a positive number by a negative number, the resulting sign will simply be negative. So here we know the result will be negative. If we divide 26 by 2, it gives us 13. Therefore, positive 26 divided by negative 2 is equal to negative 13. For C, we have negative 8 times negative 5. This will simply be equal to, if we multiply a negative number by a negative number, the result will be positive. So this will give us positive. And if we take 8 times 5, it gives us 40. The result will simply just be positive 40. If we go now to D, for D we have negative 500 divided by negative 25. If we divide a negative number by a negative number, the result will simply be positive. So here we have a positive sign. 500 divided by 25 will simply give us 20. So the answer will simply be positive 20. Next, go now to question E. For E, we have negative 71 times negative 1000. This will simply be equal to, if you multiply two negative numbers, the result will be positive. So we are simply going to write down 71. Then we attach the zeros of the power of 10. 1000. 1000 has 3 zeros. We are going to attach the 3 zeros. Our answer will simply just be positive 71,000. For F, we are to divide negative 24,000 by negative 1000. This will simply be equal to, we are going to write down, if you divide a negative number by a negative number, the result will be positive. So we have our positive sign. We are going to write down 24,000, the integer, 0.0. Since we are dividing by a power of 10, which has 1, 2, 3 zeros, we are going to move the decimal point 3 places to the left. We are going to take it 1, 2, 3. So we have to end here, and this will simply give us positive 24. We go now to question G. For G, we have negative 4 times negative 3 times negative 7. So this will simply give us, we multiply negative 4 by negative 3. If we multiply two negative numbers, the result will be positive. 4 times 3 gives us 12 times negative 7. Next, we are multiplying a positive number by a negative number. We multiply a positive number by a negative number, the result will be negative. So here we have negative. We take 12 times 7. 7 times 2 will give us 14. We write down 4, we carry 1. 7 times 1 will give us 7 plus 1 we carry gives us 8. So the answer will simply just be negative 84. Next, we are to answer question H. So question H, we have question H. We have negative 5 times negative 4 times negative 3 all over negative 2 times negative 3. So what we are simply going to do is we are going to start by simplifying the numerator, then we simplify the denominator, then we can perform the division for the necessary simplifications. So negative 5 times negative 4, we are multiplying two negative numbers, so the result will be positive. 5 times 4 gives us 20. So we multiply now by negative 3 all over negative 2 times negative 3. We are multiplying two negative numbers, so the result will be positive. 2 times 3 gives us 6. Next, this will simply be equal to, we are multiplying a positive number by a negative number, the result will be negative. 20 times 3 gives us 60. Then we have to divide by positive 6. Next, we are dividing a negative number by a positive number, so the result will simply be negative. So this will simply give us negative. If we divide 60 by 6, it gives us 10. So in this case, our answer will simply just be negative 10. So we are done with this. And next, we move now to other properties on the set of integers. We have other properties on other properties in the set, other properties in the set of integers. The first one, let's take I. We have commutative property. Most often you hear the word commutativity, or you hear people saying commutative. It is commutative. So let's write this down. If A and B are two integers such that A is not equal to B, that means A and B are not the same, then we have the following. The first one, I'll take small I by the margin. A plus B is the same as B plus A. Let's take an example, e.g. if you take 4 plus 5, 4 plus 5 is the same as 5 plus 4, of which the result is 9. If you take negative 7 plus negative 3, it is the same as negative 3 plus negative 7, which the result is negative 10. So in this case, under I, small I, in this case, we say that addition of integers is, I'll write this down with a red pen, is commutative. Because if you take any two integers a and a plus b is the same as b plus a. Next, let's take 2i. We take a minus b. A minus b is not the same as b minus a, since we know that a minus b is simply equal to negative b minus a. E.g., let's take examples on this. If we take two integers, let's take for example 5 and 3. You know 5 minus 3 is equal to 2, right? But 3 minus 5 is equal to negative 2. You see that negative 2 and negative 2 are not the same, and 2 is not equal to negative 2. In such a case, we are going to say subtraction is not commutative. Let's take another example. If you take negative 12 minus negative 8, we know this will simply give us, change this to negative, negative becomes positive. This will give us negative 12 plus 8. The answer will simply be negative 4. But negative 8 minus negative 12, this will give positive. This will give us negative 8 plus 12, which is 4. And negative 4 is not equal to 4. Then in this case, we say that subtraction of integers is not commutative, since a minus b is not the same as b minus a. Next, let's go now to 3i. Take 3i. A times b is the same as b times a. E.g., example given, let's take for example, if we take 5 times negative 4, it will be the same as, we know 5 times negative 4 gives us negative 20. If we take negative 4 times 5, it gives us negative 20. The result is the same. If we take negative 21 times negative 3, it is the same as negative 3 times negative 21. If we multiply two negative numbers, we know the result will be positive. If we take 3 times 21, it gives us 63. So in this case, we conclude by saying that in this case, we say that multiplication of integers is commutative. So you take note, addition is commutative, multiplication is commutative, subtraction is not commutative. And these properties, they also hold for the set of natural numbers. The set of natural numbers, addition is commutative, multiplication is commutative. Now let's verify now for division. If we take now IV for, if we take A divided by B, we know that if we have to divide two integers, A divided by B can never be equal to B divided by A. Remember, we precise that these two integers are not the same, since This is not possible since A over B, A divided by B, is simply equal to the reciprocal of B over A. Now, for example, let's take for example, e.g., if we take negative 12 divided by negative 3, this will simply give us, we are dividing two negative numbers, so the result will be positive. 12 divided by 3 gives us 4. But where the contradiction comes from, if we divide negative 3 by negative 12, this will simply give us, we are dividing in two negative numbers, so the result will be positive. 3 divided by 12, we can write this as 3 over 12. If we simplify, this will simply give us 3 will go here 1, 3 will go into 12 4 times, so it gives us 1/4. And this is still positive 1/4, and 1/4 is not equal to 4. Let's take another example. If we take another case, for example, let's take 100 divided by negative 25. This will simply be equal to negative 4. But negative 25 divided by 100 is simply equal to, divide a negative number by positive number, the result will be negative. So I'll write 25 over 100. This will simply give us negative 1/4. You can see it. And negative 4 result here, negative 4 is not equal to negative 1/4. So in this case, since the result, when you change the order, in this case, since the results are not the same, we say that division of integers is not commutative. Since when we change the order of the numbers, then we divide, the results are not the same. Next, now let's go to the next property, 2i, which is the property of the associative property. In bracket associativity. In this case, we are going to start by saying that if A, B, and C are three integers, A, B, C are three integers, then we have the following. First one, we are going to take small I by the margin. If we take A plus B first like this, that means we add the two numbers A and B first, we get the result, then we add the number C. It is the same as A plus the result when you add B and C first. Let's take for example, e.g., we take, for example, -4 plus 5 plus 7, we know that this will give us -4 plus 5 gives us 1. 1 plus 7 gives us 8. This will be the same as -4 plus the result you get when you add 5 plus 7. You know, 5 plus 7 gives us 12. -4 plus 12 gives us 8. The results are the same. The same if we take this other example, -6 plus -4 plus 3. The result will be the same as -6 plus the sum of the result when you add -4 plus 3. We know -6 plus -4, it gives us -10. -10 plus 3 will simply give us -7. Let's write the conclusion for this. In this case, we say that addition of integers is, I'll write it down with a red pen, is associative. Next, if we take 2i, we take a minus b minus c. This is not equal to a minus b minus c. Let's take an example, e.g. this example will bestly explain this. If we take -10 minus 3 minus 4, this, we know this one will simply give us, let's evaluate this. It will simply give us, we know -10 minus 3, the negative signs are the same, so we are just going to add the two numbers, then we maintain the sign. 10 plus 3 gives us 13. The result will be -13, then minus 4. -13 minus 4, the two numbers have a negative sign, so we are going to put the negative sign. If we add the two numbers, 13 plus 4 gives us 17, so the result will simply be -17. Now if we take -10, let's take -10 out, minus, then we write down 3 minus 4 as such. This will simply give us -10 minus, here if we take 3 minus 4, 3 minus 4 gives us -1. We are subtracting a larger number from a smaller number, so it gives us -1. And this will simply be equal to -10. We have two negative signs here, so it becomes positive, -10 plus 1. Here, for us to get the result, we know the result will have the sign of the larger number in terms of magnitude. So -10 is a larger number in terms of magnitude, so the result will take the negative sign. Then we are going to subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. 10 minus 1 gives us 9, so our result will be -9 here. You can see -9 is different from -17, so since -9 is not equal to -17, therefore -10 minus 3 minus 4 is not equal to -10 minus 3 minus 4 as such. And in this case, we are going to conclude by saying that subtraction of integers is not associative. In this case, subtraction of integers is not associative. Because when you group the terms in brackets, you can see when you group the first pair in brackets, then you keep the third term outside, the results will never be the same. So now let's take a 3i. In the case for multiplication, if you have a times b in bracket like this times c, the result will always be the same as a times b times c. Let's take, for example, e.g. if we take negative 2 times 3 like this times we multiply by negative 10, you see that this will give us, let's simplify this first. Negative 2 times 3 gives us negative 6 times negative 10. Now we have to multiply two negative numbers, so the result will be positive. 6 times 10 gives us 60. Now if we take negative 2 times the result, when you multiply 3 times 10 times negative 10, this will simply give us negative 2 times. We know 3 times negative 10, we are multiplying a positive number by negative number, so the result will be negative. 3 times 10 will give us 30. This will simply be equal to, we are multiplying two negative numbers, so the result has to be positive. 2 times 30 will give us 60. You can see the two results are the same. So it simply means negative 2 times 3 times negative 10 is equal to negative 2 times 3 times negative 10. You can see they are the same. Since positive 60 is equal to positive 60, then we are going to conclude in this case. We say that multiplication of integers is associative. These properties, they work too on the set of natural numbers, so you take note of that. Next, now let's take IV. If we take A divided by B, then we divide the result by C. It is not equal to A divided by the result you obtain when you divide B by C. It's not true. Let's take, for example, e.g. let's take number negative 100 divided by, let's divide negative 100 by 2. Then we divide the result by negative 5. This will simply be equal to, if you divide negative 100 by positive 2, the result will be negative. We know 100 divided by 2 gives us 50. So this will give us negative 50. Then we divide the result by negative 5. This will simply be equal to, we are dividing two negative numbers, so the result will be positive. 50 divided by 5 gives us 10. The result is positive 10. Now let's take the case where negative 100 is out. We have to divide negative 100 by the result you get when you divide 2 by negative 5. In this case, this will simply give us negative 100 divided by, when we divide 2 by 5, by negative 5, the result will simply be negative 2 feet as such. Now we are to divide negative 100 by negative 2 feet. The result will be, we are dividing two negative numbers, so the result will be positive. Now we have to divide 100 by 2 feet. So this will simply give us 100 over 1 times 5 all over 2. So this will give us, if we simplify, 2 go here, 2 go into 100, 50 times. So we are going to take 50 times 5. If we multiply 50 by 5, this will give 200 and gives us 250. Positive 250. You will see that positive 250 is not the same as positive 10. Since then is not equal to 250, then negative 100 divided by 2 divided by negative 5 is not equal to negative 100 divided by the result you obtain when you divide 2 by negative 5. And in this case, we are going to say that division of integers is not associative. In this case, division of integers is not associative. So we are done with the property of associativity. Next, now let's go to the last one, which is a distributive property. Take 3i. Distributive property. When you hear the distributive property, you think of distribution. So the distributive property, if A, B, and C are three integers, then by imagine I, small I, we have A. If you have A times B plus C, it will simply be the same as A times B plus A times C. Let's take an example, e.g. we take, for example, negative 10 times negative 4 plus 3. This will simply be equal to negative 10 times negative 4 plus negative 10 times 3. So this will simply give us, we are multiplying negative number by negative number, the result will be positive. 10 times 4 gives us 40 plus, here we are multiplying negative number by a positive number, so the result will be negative. 10 times 3 gives us negative, the result here will be negative 30. Here this will give us positive 40. Positive negative, we know negative will stay, so this will give us 40 minus 30, which is 10. The result will simply just be positive 10, which is the same as 10. You will see that this result is true if, for example, we decided to take it this way. Let's take it this way: negative 10 times negative 4 plus 3. This will simply be equal to negative 10. If we decide to simplify what we have in the bracket first, times negative 4 plus 3. Here we are adding two numbers with different signs, so we are going to subtract the smaller number from the bigger number, and the result will take the sign of the larger number in terms of magnitude. So this will give us 4. We have 4. If you take 4 minus 3, we are going to obtain 1. Then we are going to attach the negative sign to 1. So the result will be negative 1 here. If we take negative 10 times negative 1, we are multiplying two negative numbers. The result will be positive. You see that the results are the same. No difference. Now if we take 2i, we take a times b minus c. This will simply be the same as a times b minus, because there's minus here, minus a times c. Let's take an example, e.g. if we take 7 times negative 4 minus 10, this will simply be equal to 7. If we apply this property, a is 7, b is negative 4, c is 10. You can see the negative sign. 7 times negative 4 minus 7 times 10. So this will simply give us 7 times negative 4 will simply give us negative 28, minus 7 times 10 will give us 70. Here we have two negative numbers. So what we have to do is we are simply going to put out the negative sign, which is common here. Then we add the two numbers. So this will give us with the negative sign. Then we add 28 plus 70. 28 plus 70 will simply give us 98. The result will simply be negative 98. This is the result. If we decide to simplify what we have in the bracket first, 7 times negative 4 minus 10, this will give us 7 times, if you take negative 4 minus 10, is simply the same as negative 14. If you take 7 times negative 14, it gives negative 98. The results are the same, no change. So you take note of this property. The distributive property is also true on the set of natural numbers. So these are other properties on the set of integers. We take note of these properties because at higher levels we are still going to meet them. They are very, very important on the set of numbers. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video and subscribe to this channel.